During a baptism, a widow sees a man identical to her husband who had died a year ago. He was with a woman and 2 children. Mari never imagined that a baptism would change her life forever. It had been a year since she had buried her husband, Daniel, after a tragic work accident. She was still in mourning, her heart had not overcome the loss. But there she was in the church, where she had been invited by her sister Sarah to the elegant baptism ceremony of several little ones that day, when her eyes caught an impossible figure on the other side of the room, laughing and playing with 2 small children, was a man identical to Daniel. Beside him, a smiling woman looked at them with tenderness. Mari felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Was she seeing ghosts? No. The man was alive, breathing, as real as the emptiness she had carried for a year. How was this possible? Thousands of questions crowded her mind, but only one broke through with force. Who was this man who had her husband's face? Mari stood there as if time had frozen. She couldn't take her eyes off the man who was identical to Daniel. Sarah noticed her sister's agitated breathing. "Are you okay? Little sister. You look pale." Mari took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions assaulting her. "Yes. I'm fine, sister. It's nothing," she said with a trembling voice. Determined, she took one step after another, approaching the man. Each step cost her dearly, as if she were walking against an invisible current. But let's go back to that cold day when the lives of Mari and her daughter Emily would never be the same again. Daniel, who worked as a maintenance supervisor, tragically perished in a voracious fire that consumed the factory where he worked. That day, he and 3 colleagues were trapped in the flames, a catastrophe that cost them their lives. The fire was so intense that it devoured almost everything in its path, leaving desolation and the ashes of the 4 workers. 3 bodies were identified despite the disaster. However, fate was especially cruel to Daniel. His body was so charred that making an identification was impossible. This uncertainty added even deeper confusion to his family's grief. With broken hearts and no body to bury, his family and friends were forced to organize a symbolic burial. They gathered to remember him, share stories, and mourn the loss of a loved one who had gone too soon, leaving an impossible void to fill. This ceremony became a space for collective solace, an attempt to close a chapter that, for many, will remain open forever. Although Daniel was not Emily's biological father, he loved her as if she were his own. Emily's father had passed away years earlier from natural causes. After the loss of her first husband, Mari met Daniel. They fell in love and got married. Returning to the present, Mari walked firmly and decisively towards that man. When she got closer, he noticed her presence, stopped playing with the kids, and turned towards her with a kind but confused smile. "Can I help you?" he asked in a voice that was uncomfortably familiar and yet strange to Mari. She hesitated for a moment. What is one supposed to say in these situations? "Sorry. It's just that you look a lot like someone I knew," she finally managed to say, her voice trembling. The man slightly furrowed his brow with interest. "Oh. Really? Must be a coincidence. My name is Alex," he said, extending his hand in greeting. Mari took his hand, feeling a chill at the contact. I'm Mari, she responded, looking at Alex, searching for any sign that this was a joke, that Daniel had somehow returned. But there was nothing. Just the gentle smile of a stranger. Everything all right? Mari. You look a bit pale, Alex's voice snapped her out of her thoughts. Yes. Everything is fine. It's just that. Well. My husband. He passed away a year ago. And you. You look identical to him, Mari confessed, feeling her eyes fill with tears. Alex's face softened, and his eyes showed deep understanding and empathy. I'm very sorry for your loss, he said sincerely. It must be hard for you. Mari nodded, unable to speak. She wiped away her tears. And just as she was about to say goodbye to Alex, something caught her attention and sparked a suspicion in her mind. When Alex turned to attend to one of the children, a metallic flash on his left wrist left her paralyzed. It was a watch. But not just any watch, it was identical to the one she had given Daniel on their last anniversary together. A rare model. Not something you find just anywhere. Mari knew every detail of that watch. From the inscription on the back to the slight scratch on the face that Daniel had accidentally made. It couldn't be a coincidence. Wait. Where did you get that watch? Mari asked, her voice a mix of confusion and demand. Alex stopped, looking at her in surprise before glancing down at his wrist. Oh. This old watch, he said in a nonchalant tone. It was a gift from a friend a while ago. That answer only fueled Mari's doubts. How could that be possible? Was Alex more than just a doppelganger of Daniel? Or was fate simply toying with her? She needed answers. But something inside told her that there was much more to this story than Alex was willing to reveal. In that moment of confusion and suspicion, Alex's wife approached with a warm smile, perhaps sensing the tension but determined to dispel it. Hello. I'm Helen, she said, extending her hand to Mari, who accepted it while still processing the situation. Alex introduced them. And despite the strange circumstances, an immediate connection formed between Helen and Mari. As if an invisible force bound them together. They shared laughter and conversations about trivial matters. And without realizing it, Mari found herself enjoying the company. Helen, with her open and friendly nature, suggested they exchange phone numbers. We should meet up another day. Have coffee. And chat more, she suggested enthusiastically. Mari, intrigued by this family and eager to uncover more about the mysterious resemblance between Alex and Daniel, agreed. They exchanged numbers, promising to meet soon. The ceremony was emotional, with Alex and Helen clearly proud and full of love for their son. Mario watched, feeling somehow part of that special moment despite the unanswered questions floating in his mind. After saying goodbye, Mari found her way back to one of the empty benches where her sister waited with curiosity. As she sat down, Mari began to recount everything that had happened since the shocking moment she saw Alex until the exchange of numbers with Helen. She talked about the watch identical to Daniel's and how that had ignited a storm of questions and suspicions inside her. Her sister, however, listened with an increasing expression of skepticism. When Mari finished, her sister shook her head, clearly incredulous. Mari, you have to admit that it sounds incredible. I mean, A man who looks exactly like Daniel, and this matter with the watch, everything sounds like a huge coincidence. Mari frowned, frustrated and a bit dismayed by the lack of support. But the watch was there. It was exactly the same. And he was identical to Daniel. You can't tell me this means nothing. Everyone has a double out there. Or so they say, her sister replied with an attempt at lightness. And that watch could be a popular model. Who knows? I think you're looking for answers where there are none. You're trying to fill the void Daniel left. Her sister's words, though spoken carefully, hit Mari harder than she expected. Doubt began to seep in, making her wonder if her emptiness and her desire to have Daniel back in some way were clouding her judgment. Maybe you're right, she murmured finally. Though in her heart, the coincidences were too strong to be dismissed. After her surprising encounter at the baptism, Mari decided to seek answers on her own. Her search led her directly to Helen's door in a nearby city, taking advantage of an afternoon when Alex wouldn't be home. During her visit, they shared a coffee while Mari, with a mix of curiosity and anxiety about Alex's life. Helen, for her part, was open and cordial, sharing details about her family life which, to Mari, only confirmed the normalcy of her existence. Nothing seemed out of place except for Mari's persistent feeling that something didn't fit. As she said goodbye, frustrated at not having found anything concrete, Mari caught a glimpse of a photograph that would change the course of her suspicions. It was an image of Alex enjoying a day of fishing, proudly posing with his catch. What should have been a common photograph, however, contained a detail that caught Mari's attention. In the background, among a variety of boats, was a yacht that looked uncomfortably familiar. Despite the blurriness of the image, she could make out something that chilled her to the bone, the name of Daniel, inscribed on the right side of the yacht. It was the same yacht she had given to Daniel for his birthday. A gift of love that now appeared like a ghost in this photograph. With a racing heart and a mind flooded with theories, Mari said goodbye to Helen, who had no idea of the storm of emotions and doubts now raging inside her guest. With her heart pounding and her mind filled with theories, she went back home to share her findings with her sister Sarah, hoping to find support and perhaps an opinion to help her sort out her thoughts. However, Sarah's reaction was anything but what Mari expected. Instead of understanding or interest in the coincidence of the yacht, Sarah reacted with anger and concern. She reproached Mari for what she considered an unhealthy obsession with finding connections where there were none. She accused her of acting irrationally and neglecting her daughter, Emily, in this endless search. Sarah's words, far from being the comfort Mari sought, led her to a state of desolation. Overwhelmed by emotion and guilt, Mari went to Emily's room. Seeing her daughter, everything else lost importance. She approached her, hugged her tightly, and through tears, promised to focus on her well-being and on rebuilding their lives together, leaving behind the shadows of the past that had clouded their path to healing and family reconstruction. Now, let's return once more to the distant past. Mari and Sarah were fraternal twins born into a wealthy family. They took very different paths from a young age. Raised in opulence thanks to their father's successful shipyard, a millionaire with a vision for business, they experienced a childhood and youth full of privileges, but also an early and significant loss. Their mother died giving birth to them, leaving them motherless from the beginning. Over time, Sarah earned the reputation of being the black sheep of the family. Her life was full of excesses, endless parties, fleeting relationships, an excessive fondness for alcohol, and a tendency to squander money without thinking about the future. This behavior led her down a path of self-destruction, distancing herself from the principles and discipline her family had hoped for her. Mari, on the other hand, embodied everything her father valued: responsibility, loyalty, diligence, and an innate ability for organization. These qualities not only set her apart from her sister but also positioned her as the ideal heir to her father's legacy. When the family patriarch passed away, his decision to bequeath the fortune and the control of the shipyard by Mari did not surprise anyone except Sarah, who, consumed by anger, saw how her reckless lifestyle was taking its toll. The inheritance not only deepened the rift between the sisters but also marked the beginning of a new stage of difficulties for Sarah. After squandering her last savings in an attempt to maintain her wild lifestyle, she found herself without resources and with no other option but to turn to the only family she had left, Mari. Despite everything, Mari welcomed Sarah with clear conditions. She was welcome in the mansion but had to make significant changes in her life: no more wild parties, no more men coming in and out of the house, and most importantly, she had to seek help to overcome her alcoholism. Mari saw this not only as an opportunity to rehabilitate her sister but also as a way to recover lost time and rebuild the fractured bond between them. Over time, Sarah took on the role of nanny for Emily, eliminating the need to hire more nannies in the house. Returning to the present, the days passed without major incidents, and daily routine returned to Mari's life. Or at least so she thought. The tranquility that had begun to reign in the mansion with Sarah taking on the role of nanny for Emily provided Mari with a certain peace as she immersed herself in her responsibilities at the shipyard. Technology allowed her to keep a watchful eye on Emily, her daughter, who lives in her own silent world due to autism. Autism spectrum disorders are developmental disabilities caused by differences in the brain. People with ASD often have problems with communication and social interaction and exhibit restrictive or repetitive behaviors or interests. Those moments of visual connection were a small comfort in her demanding daily life. That particular day, like any other, Mari glanced at her cell phone to see Emily, seeking the peace of mind that came from knowing her daughter was okay. She saw Sarah and Emily playing, a domestic scene that gave her a sense of calm. But the calm was interrupted when Sarah left the room, leaving Emily alone for a few minutes. The entrance of an unknown man into the room made Mari's heart stop. Tension grew when she watched helplessly how this intruder interacted with her daughter. There was no fear in Emily, which was strange given her usual withdrawal. But Mari's anxiety didn't cease. Then the man got up to leave. And in that fleeting moment, the reflection in the mirror revealed his face. It was Daniel. Or at least someone identically similar to him. The shock of seeing what her mind struggled to accept as impossible left her petrified. Daniel, her supposedly deceased husband, was there in her daughter's room. Driven by a visceral fear and the urgency to protect her daughter, Mari abandoned her work at the shipyard, rushing against time towards the mansion. Every minute in the car was torment, marked by failed attempts to contact Sarah, whose silence only served to amplify her distress. Unable to get a response, Mari made the desperate decision to call law enforcement, reporting an intruder in her house. A decision driven by the disturbing image of Daniel she had seen through the camera. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, fear, hope, and a growing sense of realism. Upon reaching the mansion, Mari didn't waste a second. She entered like a whirlwind, racing up the stairs to Emily's room, her heart in her throat. The relief of finding Sarah calmly playing with Emily didn't dissipate her fear. Instead, it transformed into confusion and frustration. Sarah's explanation about her phone being dead did little to calm Mari's nerves. Though relieved to see Emily safe and sound, Mari couldn't shake off the unease that engulfed her. Immediately, she set to work, inspecting every corner of the room with eagle eyes, instructing the servants to comb through every space of the house in search of the supposed intruder. Sarah, confused and alarmed. The sudden change in her sister's behavior prompted Mari to seek answers. But she was too consumed by the task of securing the mansion. The fear of the unknown, combined with disbelief in what she had seen, compelled her to ensure there was no imminent danger. The search proved futile. There were no signs of intrusion or anyone else in the house. Despite the absence of physical evidence, Mari couldn't deny what she had seen. After ensuring Emily was safe and the house had been thoroughly searched with no traces of an intruder, Mari faced the challenge of explaining the situation to Sarah. With her heart still pounding from stress and confusion, she shared with her sister what she had seen on the live feed, an unknown man in Emily's room. Initially, she omitted the disturbing detail that the man she thought she saw was Daniel. Sarah listened, confused and worried, assuring Mari that she hadn't left Emily alone for any significant amount of time except for a few brief minutes. The idea of a stranger entering Emily's room was as unsettling for her as it was for Mari. But she was certain it hadn't happened under her watch. The arrival of the authorities added a layer of seriousness to the incident. They conducted a thorough inspection of the mansion. The mansion was searched, every possible hiding spot and access point checked. Yet no evidence of intrusion was found. The efficiency of their search only served to heighten Mari's frustration. She felt increasingly isolated in her experience, even with law enforcement present. Mari sought to validate her experience by turning to the security camera recordings, only to be faced with the frustrating reality that the camera had only been live streaming and not recording. The lack of physical evidence to corroborate her story was devastating. Not only was she without proof of her experience, but she also began to question her own perception of events. With authorities unable to find evidence of an intruder and no security footage to rely on, they had no choice but to withdraw, leaving Mari feeling powerless and frustrated. This incident left Mari feeling trapped, needing to trust what her eyes had seen, yet facing the harsh reality that without proof, her experience seemed little more than an illusion. She needed a break, a chance to reconnect with herself and her daughter. Mari made the decision to temporarily step away from the tensions and conflicts, opting for a vacation that would allow them both to enjoy quality time together. This pause was also a quest for clarity, a way to distance themselves from the emotional chaos and accusations that had marked the recent days. Seeking solace in a calmer environment, away from the daily pressures, Mari sought a moment to delicately broach the topic that had consumed her thoughts, hoping her daughter might offer some clue or confirmation of her experiences. Mari asked Emily if she had seen her dad recently. The question was laden with emotions and expectations, a mother's attempt to find answers in her daughter's innocent perception. However, Emily remained immersed in her world, playing with her dolls, offering no response to Mari's question. The absence of verbal communication was not unexpected given Emily's condition. But Mari couldn't help feeling a mix of disappointment and relief at her daughter's silence. The hope of receiving some confirmation or denial faded with the tranquility of the moment, leaving Mari still in uncertainty but also providing her with a peaceful space with Emily. An effort to set aside tensions and reconnect as a family. Sarah suggested spending a day together at the city's amusement park, bringing Emily along. It was an opportunity to create new happy memories and offer a brief respite from the recent complications and discomfort. The day was filled with laughter and moments of joy, reminding them of the bonds they shared and the importance of being together in difficult times. After a day of fun and laughter, they decided to continue the good time with lunch at a nearby cafe. However, the atmosphere of tranquility changed drastically when Mari noticed Alex and his family at a nearby table. At first, Mari observed Alex with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. But the situation took an unexpected turn when she received a call from an unknown number. She would swear it was Daniel's voice telling her that everything would be okay. Confused and enraged, Mari confronted Alex, accusing him of being behind the call and playing with her emotions. The scene that followed was chaotic, clearly surprised and confused by the accusations. He tried to calm the situation while Helen demanded explanations for Mari's aggressive behavior toward her husband. Driven by the emotion of the moment, Mari insisted that Alex was actually Daniel, leading to a moment of uproar and confusion among those present in the cafe. In a desperate attempt to prove her point, Mari pulled out Daniel's identification, showing Helen as evidence that Alex and Daniel were the same person. Seeing how the situation was escalating out of control, Sarah intervened, trying to calm Mari and lead her away from the turmoil. But she didn't budge an inch. Tension in the cafe reached its peak when Helen took the identification and photographs Mari handed her, examining them carefully. Though the emotion and confusion were palpable, Helen attempted to objectively analyze the evidence presented to her, comparing the physical characteristics of the man in the photos with her husband, Alex. The differences became evident. Daniel, blonde with blue eyes, slightly bulkier, and with a distinctive tattoo on his left shoulder, while Alex had dark hair, brown eyes, was slender, and without tattoos. Moreover, the age difference between Daniel and Alex left no room for argument. The physical and temporal realities simply didn't align despite Mari's insistence and her visible state of agitation. Helen was forced to take a defensive stance, threatening to call law enforcement and request a restraining order to protect her family from what she perceived as unfounded harassment. This reaction only served to increase Mari's anger and frustration, as she found herself trapped in her own distress and conviction. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation and the potential harm that could arise from further escalation, Sarah quickly intervened with a mix of strength and calm, attempting to de-escalate the situation before it spiraled further. Determination led Mari away from the cafe, ensuring that Emily was also safe and unaware of the attention of the moment. The return to the mansion was a journey laden with emotions, marked by Sarah's concern for her sister's emotional well-being and the impact these events could have on little Emily. The next day, Sarah's concern for Mari's mental health and Emily's well-being escalated into legal action, a decision that not only threatened to further divide the family but also put Mari's future with her daughter at stake. Sarah's determination to seek guardianship of Emily stemmed from a place of fear and desperation. Seeing Mari's claims about Daniel as evidence of serious psychological deterioration, The law firm hired by Sarah recommended a psychological evaluation of Mari as the first step in the legal process. A standard procedure in cases where a parent's ability to care for their child is questioned. The legal notice and the possibility of losing custody of Emily devastated Mari, who saw this action not only as a betrayal but also as a fundamental misunderstanding of her experience and her capacity as a mother. The legal confrontation led Mari to a psychological evaluation, where she sincerely and vulnerably shared her experience of seeing Daniel. Although honest, this testimony was interpreted by the judge and the legal team as confirmation of Sarah's concerns about Mari's mental health. The judge, acting with the intention of protecting Emily's well-being, decided to grant guardianship to Sarah preventively. This decision was based on the precautionary principle, considering the potential risk to Emily if Mari's claims indicated a disconnect from reality. Mari's situation took a drastic and bleak turn when Sarah, acting under the newly granted legal authority, decided that the best option for her sister was to admit her to a mental rehabilitation institution. This decision, although motivated by concern for Mari's health and Emily's well-being, was radical. The passage describes Sarah's desperation to find a solution to the crisis facing the Mari family. Sarah resisted the intervention, feeling confused and desperate at the idea of being separated not only from her daughter but also from her freedom. She saw the circumstances as a misunderstanding of her situation and emotions, overwhelming her. However, faced with legal decisions and forced relocation, she felt powerless to change the course of events. The institution she was taken to specialized in treating patients with severe mental disorders, using various methods for those in deep crisis. Practices like the use of a straitjacket and isolation in a padded room, though controversial and generally considered outdated or inappropriate in modern psychiatry, were employed due to the seriousness perceived in her case. Fearing she might pose a danger to herself or others, in the depths of her despair and isolation, Mari clung to any glimmer of hope that could change her situation. Constant sedation left her lethargic, hindering her ability to communicate effectively with staff or advocate for her own release. Yet, Mari's determination to regain her freedom proved stronger than her circumstances. In a moment of lucidity and desperation, she made the drastic decision to induce vomiting to expel the medication she had been given. This act of resistance marked the first step toward regaining some control over her situation. Through this act, Mari regained greater clarity of mind, enabling her to plan her next move more shrewdly. The friendship she forged with one of the caregivers, an elderly woman with years of experience, became the ray of hope she needed. This woman, seeing beyond the diagnosis and treatment imposed on Mari, recognized the injustice of her situation, perhaps motivated by her own understanding of the human condition, the complexity of mental health. The caregiver became an unexpected ally for Mari. With her help, Mari orchestrated a bold escape from the institution. The caregiver's complicity was crucial. Not only did she assist Mari in her escape, but she also took steps to ensure Mari's absence went unnoticed for as long as possible. By continuing to place Mari's food and medication as if nothing had changed and then discreetly disposing of them, the caregiver created the illusion that Mari was still a patient in the institution. After her daring escape, Mari found refuge with one of her neighbors, a close friend sympathetic to her situation who was willing to offer her a safe hideaway. This hidden attic, concealed from view, became Mari's temporary sanctuary, a place where she could take a breather, recover, and plan her next steps discreetly. Determined to uncover the truth she firmly believed in, Mari decided that the only way to prove the connection between Alex and Daniel was through constant surveillance. With the financial support of her friend, she rented an apartment from where she could closely observe her family's daily life and interactions, searching for any clues or inconsistencies that could support her theory. From her vantage point as an observer, Mari dedicated days and nights to documenting Alex's behavior patterns, his comings and goings, and the people he interacted with. Every detail was meticulously recorded with the hope of finding the missing piece of the puzzle that would confirm her conviction that Alex was somehow Daniel. In her meticulous surveillance of Alex, Mari found herself immersed in the monotony of his seemingly normal daily life. Until one day, she captured a behavior that broke with the image Alex projected. She observed Alex leaving his house at a time when Helen was busy attending to visitors, an opportunity Mari didn't miss to discreetly follow him. Driven by curiosity and the hope of discovering more about him, her pursuit led her to a motel, a place that starkly contrasted with Alex's family life that Mari had been observing from her hideaway. From a concealed position, Mari spied on him through the window, and what she saw confirmed her suspicions. Alex was being unfaithful to Helen. The presence of another woman in this clandestine encounter added a new layer of complexity to Mari's perception of Alex. However, despite her diligence and determination, Mari failed to see the face of the woman Alex was with. This limitation not only frustrated her desire to fully understand the situation, but also left her with more questions than answers. Though revealing of his character, Alex's infidelity provided no direct evidence to Mari's theory that Alex and Daniel were the same person. As days passed, Mari's desperation and the need to reconnect with her daughter led her to take significant risks. Leveraging her knowledge of Sarah's daily routine, Mari found an opportunity to infiltrate the house undetected. The task of watering the garden plants, which usually kept Sarah occupied for an hour, gave Mari the time she needed to share a precious moment with Emily. And she tiptoed up to Emily's room for a clandestine reunion with her daughter. Though brief, it was a balm to Mari's soul, a palpable confirmation of the unbreakable bonds that tied them together, and of how much she had lost during her absence. However, this moment of tenderness was abruptly interrupted when Mari heard Sarah ascending the stairs towards the room. She was talking to someone on her cell phone. Mari's agility and instinct to hide in the closet demonstrated her determination to stay close to her daughter at all costs, even if it meant putting herself in danger. From her hiding spot, Mari witnessed a side of Sarah she had never imagined: the way Sarah treated Emily. Far from being the affectionate and protective aunt she should have been, Sarah revealed a contemptuous and cruel demeanor. The yelling and lack of patience starkly contrasted with the love and delicacy Emily needed, especially considering her autistic condition. Hearing Sarah speak intimately with a man and her plans to meet at the country house Mari had bought years ago for vacations with Daniel added another layer of complexity and disappointment to the already tense family dynamics. This discovery not only deepened Mari's concern for Emily's well-being under Sarah's custody, but also raised questions about the true circumstances surrounding the decision to institutionalize her. Following Sarah at a safe distance, Mari ventured into the familiar territory of the country house, a place laden with memories. Contradictory emotions flooded Mari as she watched from her cautious hiding spot through a window. The house that once was a scene of happiness and love with Daniel now became the backdrop for a surprising and disturbing revelation. She observed her sister meeting with an unknown man whose striking appearance, long black hair, well-groomed beard and mustache, dark glasses, and a hat, added to the intrigue and mystery surrounding him. The familiarity and intimacy with which Sarah interacted with him intensified Mari's intrigue and concern. Seeing her sister sharing intimate moments with a stranger was a harsh scene for Mari. Not only due to the implied betrayal, but also because of the desperation and fear she felt for Emily. Left alone and unprotected. What truly took Mari's breath away, however, was when she overheard Sarah and the mysterious man planning to take Emily's life in order to inherit Mari's fortune. Sarah expressed her fatigue with Emily and the need for her demise to appear accidental. They agreed to take her on a yacht ride and then throw her overboard to make it seem like she fell and lost her life accidentally in the waters. Additionally, they decided to execute this plan the next day. The man expressed concern about Mari's potential actions, but Sarah reassured him that Mari would never leave the mental institution, ensuring she remained incapacitated. Confronted with the shocking revelation of the plot against Emily, Mari found herself in a situation of desperation and urgency. Conscious of her vulnerable position due to the judicial order and the general perception of her mental state, she knew she faced a monumental challenge in trying to protect her daughter without the benefit of credibility on her side. In a moment of ingenuity and determination, Mari used the only resource available to her, a cell phone borrowed from her friend. Her call to Sarah was a masterful act of strategy designed to destabilize and confuse her sister, buying precious time. By claiming she was in the mansion and aware of the nefarious plan, Mari played a bold card that put Sarah on the defensive. Sarah's reaction, a mixture of surprise and fear at the possibility of being discovered, was a testament to Mari's effective deception. Not knowing how Mari had managed to escape, let alone how she knew of her plans, Sarah had no choice but to act under the pressure of the moment. Determined to face what she believed would be a direct confrontation at the mansion. As Sarah and her accomplice hurried back to the mansion, Mari set the stage for the final showdown. This act of courage and desperation marked a turning point in her struggle, not only against her sister and the forces seeking to harm her and her daughter, but also in her fight to reclaim her place and voice in a world that had dismissed her. Sarah and her accomplice's arrival at the mansion triggered a moment of pause and confrontation. Mari, exhibiting an unexpected calmness, greeted them with a proposal that caught them off guard. Her offer to forgive them and forego any legal action in exchange for their freedom and a portion of her fortune represented a cunning and strategic twist in the power game. Aware that she faced an uphill battle to prove her accusations without concrete evidence and with her own credibility in question due to her recent stay in a mental institution, Mari opted for a solution that ensured her main objective, to protect Emily. Mari's proposal put Sarah and her accomplice in a difficult position. On one hand, accepting meant relinquishing any future claim to Mari's fortune and possibly fleeing to avoid legal repercussions for their actions and conspiracies. On the other hand, rejecting the offer and facing the possibility of Mari fulfilling her warning to involve the authorities meant risking an investigation that could unravel their plans and bring them to justice. Sarah and her partner approached Mari, apparently accepting the proposal. But just when they had her within reach, Sarah signaled her partner to capture Mari. He did so, and then Sarah burst into laughter, telling Mari she was crazy and wouldn't accept crumbs when she could have the entire fortune. She said she would get rid of Emily tomorrow and make it look like an accident. After that, Sarah went into the kitchen, grabbed a knife, returned to the living room, and cut her own arm in front of Mari. Then she placed the knife in Mari's hands so that her fingerprints would be on it. She told Mari she would say Mari had escaped. In the midst of a desperate struggle, Mari managed to unmask the man restraining her by ripping off his glasses and stripping him of the fake beard and mustache that concealed his true identity. The revelation left her numb. The man was none other than Alex. The very person she had been surveilling and suspecting for so long. Incredulity and fear gripped Mari as she realized the depth of the deception and betrayal. Confronted with this shocking truth, Mari sought answers from Sarah, her sister, questioning how she could betray her in such a vile manner. Sarah's response was a torrent of accumulated bitterness and resentment built up over the years. She confessed that the discomfort of being disinherited by their father, who had favored Mari with the entire family fortune, had festered inside her, transforming into a profound and dark malaise. Sarah revealed that their father's preference for Mari had marked her for life, leaving her feeling relegated to the background, condemned to live in her sister's shadow. The mansion, far from being a home, had become her prison, where her role as Emily's nanny was nothing more than a facade concealing her true intentions. For years, she had been weaving a web of deceit and conspiracy with the aim of taking what she believed had been unjustly denied to her. But what chilled Mari to the bone was when Sarah revealed that Alex was indeed Daniel, the husband Mari had believed to be deceased. This confession froze her soul with a mixture of horror and disbelief. Daniel's cynical laughter echoed in the room, a cruel confirmation of the deepest betrayal imaginable. "Any troubles, darling?" he joked, his voice dripping with malice that sent shivers down Mari's spine. The reality Mari had known crumbled before her eyes, revealing a conspiracy that surpassed her worst nightmares. With calculated coldness, Sarah unveiled the magnitude of their deception. United not only by a secret bond of lovers but by unbridled ambition, they had devised a diabolical plan to strip Mari of her fortune. The revelation that Daniel had always been part of the scheme, feigning love and loyalty while conspiring with Sarah, uncovered a layer of betrayal that left Mari breathless. Despite being married to Helen, Daniel had never wavered in his allegiance to Sarah and their plot, weaving a web of lies and deceit that now became evident. The initial strategy seemed like something out of a twisted fairy tale. Daniel was supposed to woo Mari, marry her, and then, through a divorce, claim half of her fortune. However, he hadn't anticipated Mari's cunning. Anticipating future moves, she had secured an ironclad prenuptial agreement protecting her fortune from any claims by Daniel. Frustrated by this unexpected setback, Sarah conceived an even more sinister plan. The new strategy involved discrediting Mari to the point of being declared mentally unfit, allowing Sarah not only to snatch Emily's custody but also to assume total control over Mari's fortune, becoming the executrix of her estate, since she would have custody of the child. The plan would culminate in Emily's elimination, leaving Sarah as the sole heiress of the family wealth legally. Sarah's machination to discredit Mari was a campaign orchestrated with precision and cruelty, designed to destabilize her emotionally and mentally while building a case against her in the outside world. Every strange episode, every unexpected encounter, was not a coincidence but another link in the chain of events carefully planned by Sarah to strip Mari of everything she loved. The traumatic event that shook Mari's world was actually a scheme orchestrated by Daniel under Sarah's direction, an act aimed at simulating his death and triggering a spiral of despair and confusion in Mari. The photograph strategically placed in Helen's house was nothing more than bait, knowing that Mari would recognize it and that it would fuel her doubts and theories about Daniel's presence. The baptism and the encounter at the cafe were not coincidences, but meticulously planned moments to expose Mari to extreme situations, pushing her to the edge of her sanity. Daniel's call at the cafe. A moment that exuded both hope and desperation for Mari. Was the climax of this series of manipulations designed to force a public confrontation that would serve as proof of her instability. Sarah, using these incidents as evidence, wove a convincing narrative that Mari was not only obsessed with the idea that Daniel was alive, but that her obsession had crossed the bounds of rationality, affecting her ability to properly care for Emily. This manipulated representation of the facts was enough to convince the authorities of the need to intervene, painting Mari as incapable. In a dramatic twist of events, the blare of sirens announced the arrival of law enforcement agents. A moment that Sarah and Daniel never anticipated. Sarah's confidence in her elaborate plan was shaken by the reality of its imminent collapse, despite her initial arrogance, assuring Mari that nobody would believe her and that she would easily be discredited before the authorities. Sarah was unprepared for the course of action Mari had taken. In a move of foresight and cunning, Mari had called law enforcement before Sarah and Daniel arrived, weaving her own safety net against their machinations. Sarah's confidence in her control of the situation evaporated when Helen entered the scene, accompanying the agents. Daniel's betrayal and deceit were exposed before the eyes of his wife, who, confronted with the truth of his infidelity and conspiracy, reacted with indignation and contempt. Daniel's disbelief at Helen's presence mingled with humiliation when she, facing the betrayal of someone she once loved, slapped him, a gesture symbolizing repudiation and the rupture of their bond. Meanwhile, Sarah, caught in the act of her arrest, frantically insisted that Mari was the true culprit, a desperate attempt to divert attention and save herself. But Mari, with a quiet voice, told her, "Don't worry, sister. This time the security cameras in the house were indeed recording." This revelation was the final blow that sealed the fate of the conspirators. The assurance Sarah had felt in her ability to manipulate the situation vanished when she realized that her confession and actions had been recorded, providing the authorities with the evidence needed, with irrefutable evidence of their guilt. The tormenting saga reached its conclusion. Mari not only regained her freedom and rights, but also found an unexpected ally in Helen. Shared adversity and unraveled betrayal forged between them a bond of understanding and mutual support, transforming the discomfort of deceit into the foundation of a new and solid friendship. Now far from being rivals or strangers, united by circumstances, Mari and Helen often visit each other, finding comfort and companionship in each other's presence, a bright light amid the remnants of their past tribulations. Mari and Emily's lives experienced a renaissance marked by joy and renewed hope. Free from the shadows that once darkened their existence, mother and daughter enjoy a life filled with love, security, and happiness. The mansion that was once the stage for intrigue and controversy now resounds with the laughter and love of a restored family. After watching the story above, do you have any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. That's all about today's story. See you next time.